Joe here from OnTheStick.com. It's September, and that means great things if you're a sports fan. The NFL is just getting started, and Major League Baseball is on its way towards the playoffs. So I figured, what better time to do a sports game? The only problem is I don't really play sports games. I mean, don't get me wrong, Tecmo Bowl is great, and I love an odd game of baseball stars, but I don't really get into a lot of sports games. Except for one. And now, I'm sure you know where I'm going with this. If you listened to last year's OnTheStick.com NES game draft, you know that I love Super Dodgeball. What you probably don't know is that there are other versions out there of Super Dodgeball.
Super Dodgeball was developed and released in arcades by Technos in 1987. The game featured an exaggerated version of the gym class favorite. In Japan, the game was known as Neketsu Koko Dodgeball Boo and was part of the same series as Renegade and River City Ransom. In the US, these connections are not acknowledged, although looking at the games, it's hard not to tell.
Now, this being the 80s, numerous ports followed. In this episode, we're going to be looking at the NES port, which was done in-house by Technos and published here in the United States by CSG ImageSoft, and the PC Engine version. Now this one is actually called Neketsu Koko Dodgeball Boo PC Bangai Hen, which literally translates to Hot-Blooded High School Dodgeball Club PC Extra Edition. That's a mouthful. This one was developed by a company called Kid, who's probably better known for Rekka Summer Carnival 92 on the Famicom, as well as the first G.I. Joe game for the NES, but not the Atlantis Factor. The good G.I. Joe game. And yes, we're bending the name rule because it's an import. Same as we did with Life Force, I think we can reasonably assume that if this game had come out for the American Turbografx, it would have been called Super Dodgeball.
The basic gameplay in both versions is the same. You take a dodgeball team on a globe-trotting adventure to become the best in the world. Both teams take a side of the court, with auxiliary players on the outside of the opponent's side of the court. The game goes until one team has been eliminated. However, unlike actual dodgeball, in which getting hit by the ball eliminates you, in Super Dodgeball you must be killed to be eliminated. At which point a little angel floats away.
Now, I said the basic gameplay is essentially the same. The finer points of the gameplay actually vary pretty wildly, so let's take a closer look.
The first and most obvious difference in gameplay is that in the PC Engine version, you have 4 players on your main roster, whereas in the NES you only have 3. This is for the best though, as the NES version suffers from some pretty awful issues with sprite flicker that would have been considerably worse if 2 more player sprites had been added. You also aren't able to swap these players in the main game of the PC Engine version. The NES version allows for moving your players around to utilize different strengths and super throws in different situations. The other thing you'll notice is that in the PC Engine version, you have 1 huge dude and 3 small dudes. Your captain is the huge dude, on your team it's Kunio of course, and the small dudes are your backup. In the arcade version, apparently only your captain could use super throws, but in the PC Engine port, the small guys can as well. And speaking of super throws, I have some minor gripes about the controls. Now, granted, I've spent much more time on the NES game, but the timing of the super throws was way harder to get down in the PCE title. More than that, it was just tough to run. A simple double tap of a direction is all it should take, but the timing on said double tap is weird and can be very frustrating. Eventually, I got it down so that I could run about 70% of the time that I tried, but it's still obnoxious as hell. The timing on catching opponents' throws is also a little weird. It's hard to describe without playing, but there's a lag in between pressing the defense button and your guy putting his hands up. It can get really frustrating when playing some of the later teams. One final gameplay difference. In In the PC Engine version, your outside squad mates can do damage to the opposing team, while in the NES version, their throws only stun the opponents without taking any of their health.
Now let's talk graphics and sound like we do. Now, I'm sorry to say, but the PC Engine version has the advantage in both departments, and not just by a little. The NES version graphically has some really, really awful sprite flicker problems. And the music, well, we've talked about this before, but the PC Engine sound chip just has a crisper sound to it. I mean, musically, the tunes are the same, they just have a richer, fuller sound on the PC Engine. Which isn't to say the NES is bad. I do love the sound of NES chip tunes, as you know. But let's take a look and a listen so you can decide for yourself. So, in this case we have some regional differences, since Naxxit's game only came out in Japan. In this version, you play as a Japanese high school team, the Neketsu High School Dodgeball Club, and when you start, you face a rival Japanese team to see who will represent Japan in the dodgeball tournament. In the NES version, you play as the US team, and you face off against the US All-Stars in the first match.
The NES version also features 3 additional matches. Both games feature matches against England, Iceland, China, Japan, the United States, and Kenya, although that team is known as Africa in the PC Engine version. The first added match for the NES is India for some reason, and then the USSR was added since the game came out at the end of the Cold War. Following that match, you undertake a mirror match featuring shadow versions of your own team.
The final thing we need to talk about is the extra modes. Now, each game contains your standard one player, beat the teams in order, win the tournament mode, and of course the two-player, each player chooses one of the international teams and you go head-to-head mode. Interestingly, the Famicom version, the Japanese version of the NES game that is, featured an option for 4-player support, but it was removed when it was brought over here for some reason. Now, in addition to those modes, each game has a specific extra mode that is unique to each port. Let's take a look.
In the NES game, there's a short game called Beanball, in which you play as one member of the US team, and all of you run around in an open area, and it's an every man for himself type thing. This mode is available for 1 or 2 players. It's fun enough, but it's short and there's not much strategy involved. The PC Engine game features a quest mode in which Kunio can recruit members of other teams, resulting in an all-big dude team. The goal is to find a gang of aliens that have infiltrated the Dodgeball League. As far as I can tell, there's no real way to tell where the aliens are, and if you don't find one, you'll have to play that team again until you do. Once you find them all, you're taken to a match not seen in the main mode or in the NES game. It's a match against the alien team on the moon. It is the hardest match in either game.
special modes are interesting. But, I mean, the PC Engine Quest mode just adds so much more to the gameplay, where the Beanball mode found in the NES game is really more of a simple distraction. Well, that's the games. I guess that means it's time to give the edge. Now, in this one, it's tough. They're both good, but I gotta give it to the NES version. I mean, the PC Engine version definitely has better graphics and sound, but this one wins the day. The controls are so much more responsive. It's never hard to do a super throw. It's never hard to catch the opponent's throw. If you miss it, it's your fault. It's not weird controls. It's not weird timing that doesn't make sense. It's your fault, and that's why this one definitely gets the big thumbs up from me. But that being said, the PC Engine version is an interesting take on a game you're probably familiar with, and is a version you probably haven't had the chance to play. So I definitely recommend checking it out. Neither version is very expensive on eBay. You can get them both for probably less than $10. Shipping might be a little steep from Japan on the PC Engine version if you can't find a US seller, but probably less than $15 including shipping. So, well, that's another episode in the books. I hope you come back next time. And in the interim, I just hope you check out onthestick.com for podcasts, articles, and more videos. And we'll see you next time. Now let's talk graphics and sound like we do. I'm sorry to say, the PC Engine has the advantage in both categories, and not just by a little.